Hey guys, coming at you from my couch in my living room. So today's another good day. I wanted to share some information with you guys that I haven't told really anybody except out of my extended family. So as you guys know, I am adopted. I actually lived with my birth mother until the age of about 7 or 8 years old, so I know who she is. I never met my father. I could never get a straight answer from my mother who my father was. She always just said, you don't need to know who he is. He wasn't a good guy." Ain't that, funny considering how awful she was. But so she would never give me any information, so I never knew. If I remember right, my original birth certificate, there was no father in the box as father. So, anyways, so I just went my whole life without knowing who my father was. My adopted father is amazing. I don't call him my adopted father. My parents are not my adopted parents. They are my parents. So, I never had the need to go look for my father because I have a great father. Not only did I not have the need to look for a man that I already have a dad, but I was always scared of what I would find if I did go look. Like, would he be just horrible or would he already be dead? And I missed out on an opportunity of knowing somebody. So, anyways, in not knowing who my father is, there's also part of me of who I am that I don't know who I am. My nationality, my race. So I know that my mother's Mexican, but I didn't know what my father was. My mom thought that I was going to be black, so there was always a possibility that I was half black and just didn't look half black. Those type of black, mixed kids. But so I took a few years ago. I took a ancestry DNA test. So sorry, the phone is moving a lot. I'm holding it. So, anyways, I took a ancestry DNA test. It took forever because during the time that I got it, they were really popular, and I'm not kidding. It took like 6 months for them to even start analyzing mine. So, anyways, I finally got the results back. And of course, I'm mixed with a whole bunch of other stuff because nobody's pure, and not anymore. So it kind of gave me an idea of what I'm part of. There's some Indian in there. There's some, like, I wasn't surprised that there was like British in. I'm like got some percentage of British. I would have to look at the chart. So, anyways, it was, I can't even remember how long it's been. It's been quite a while. But I had somebody contact me on, was it Facebook? I think it was Facebook. Somebody had contacted me on Facebook Messenger and said, "Hey, I just wanted to say that I'm paraphrasing. I just wanted to say that we matched on Ancestry as first cousins, and sometimes when first cousins match, that can also be a match as a half sibling." And apparently, her father, what kind of back in the day was kind of a ladies' man. So she had found two other sisters that were not, they were halves. So there was a possibility that I was a half sister to her. And we were getting all this information. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, did I actually just find my biological father's family? So we were exchanging all this information. Um, One of the things that was really hard for me is I never really looked like, you know how some kids, they're a mix between both parents or they look more like one parent than the other? Like Marina looks completely like her dad. Like it's really hard for me to see myself in Marina, but I can see myself in Jaden and Desi. But anyways, so I never really looked like my mother's side of the family, so I always assumed I just looked like my father's side of the family. And I share some characteristics with my mother's mother, my maternal grandmother, but still, I didn't really look much like my real mother. I don't think. I mean, I think some people think I do, but I don't see it. Maybe because I don't see the bitch, that bitch in me. But anyways, we were exchanging all this stuff, and she said, "There's a possibility that my father could be your father." Well, her mother and father are still married, and her mother knows about all the infidelity. They had gotten through it, and I told her I wasn't willing to come into the picture if her mother wasn't okay with it, because I had no interest in tearing a family apart or opening old wounds. So she had talked to her mother, and her mother was like, she deserves to know her dad, whether it's not her fault. If your father is her father, it's. But then again, she's probably thinking in the back of her head, holy shit, again? But anyways, so her dad had done a 23andMe test. And she said, if I pay for the 23andMe, will you do that test? Because most of my family did that one. And I said, sure. So the kit came in the mail. I did that one, waited for the results, came in really quickly. And her father didn't come back as my father. He came back as like my grandfather. It's really weird how these things work. I don't know. And then she came back on 23andMe, she came back as my cousin again. And then her sisters are on 23andMe. She has like most of her family has taken these tests. And so everybody's trying to narrow down when or where, who my father could be. If it's not her dad, it's somebody. Because she was showing me pictures of, I think it was her father's mother, and I look a lot like her. Like, it's uncanny. And then, so then we're talking about, like, when I was born, and this is what's funny, is not funny. So we think we have it narrowed down. The problem is the person that we think is my father is gone. He's not alive anymore. So that was one of my biggest fears, that I would find my biological father and he would be dead. I would never get to meet him and talk to him and see what kind of person he was, and if he was a good person, introduce him to my children, ever. So I got a little bit of information about who we think my biological father is. Oh, and get this. My biological father's family lives in New Mexico. So that's how, obviously, that's how my mom and him met. So they were thinking that, I can't remember how my biological, if this man, I'm going to refer to him as my father. I can't remember how my father is related to the cousin that brought this all to me. But she was saying he was in the army and he was on leave to go to a friend or a cousin's wedding in Alamogordo, I think it was. And around the time my mom would have gotten pregnant with me. And then, So I don't know if it was like a one night stand and she never saw him again because he went back to the army. So so maybe that's why she never told me. I mean, honestly, my mother was a prostitute. So, and even if she wasn't a prostitute at that time, she slept around. So, more likely than not, she slept with so many men, she just was too embarrassed to say, "Hey, I don't know who your dad is. I slept with too many men at the time I got pregnant with you." So there was no way to narrow it down. So anyways, if I'm remembering like I've said in a previous video, I have the worst memory. So if I'm remembering correctly, her father, not her father, my biological father was arrested after he was done with the army. He was arrested for drug possession. He had marijuana on him. And this was like back in the day. You could get pinched for marijuana the same you would for coke. So anyways, he ended up getting killed in a riot in the prison. From what she was telling me, he was trying to protect somebody and he ended up getting killed. So that's how he died. And so the plan was that I would eventually go out to Alamogordo. It would be easier for me, one person. I mean, obviously I would take the kids with me, but for me to drive there than have a whole extended family drive here or fly here or whatever to come see me. So the plan was to go out there and meet them, and he has a brother that I can test against. Like get a real blood test to see if he is actually my biological father. And see if this man would be my uncle. So I'm going to share a picture later with you guys of the man that we think is my father. If he's not my father, like, I look just like him. It's insane how closely we look alike. So yeah, I just wanted to share that with you guys. It's weird that at 40, I would be 43 at the end of the month. Will I be 43? I can't even remember how old I am. And I'm just now, I mean, not just now, it's been a while since since we've met each other, like connected. But I just didn't want to say anything too soon. But I think with the information that I have, it's okay to start talking about it. So yeah, it's kind of bittersweet that I would find him and he be gone. And she said that if he is my father, I'm his only child. That he never had any other kids because he didn't want to have any kids, because I guess he comes from a pretty messed up background and he didn't want to bring a kid into that kind of environment. So he just decided he was never going to have kids. So if I am his daughter, oops, here I am. Isn't it? It's crazy that. And then another hard aspect in thinking about it is when I had talked to her, she said that had we known about you, or had not, she's my age, so it wouldn't have been her, she said, but if my family had known you existed and we knew what you were going through, we would have intervened and stepped in and taken you. We wouldn't have let what happened to you happen. And it just makes you wonder what kind of life I would have had my biological father known about me and taken me from her when I was a baby. If I just wouldn't have this mental illness, if I would be a happier person. But then again, wishing for something, it's really hard because wishing that I had a different mother or a different life would wish away my parents that I have now. Because having a happy, healthy home means that I would have never entered the foster system and I would have never met my parents. And I wouldn't be married tomorrow. I mean, my life would be completely different. And no matter how good it would have been, it doesn't take away the fact that I'm not willing to give up my husband, my mother, my dad, and my kids. I'm just not. No matter how great my life would have been with the alternative. So I deal with the bullshit that is my life. I have to deal with it. But I think the trade-off is pretty damn good. I have a wonderful husband. My parents are so amazing and supportive. And I have 3 beautiful children. I mean, who's to say even if I had a normal upbringing, I wouldn't have turned out to be a total shithead? You know what I mean? So it just makes you think, how easily your life could be changed with one little moment or event or anything. Your life could have gone in a totally different direction. And you look at your life the way it is now, and are you willing to give up what you have now to have gone in that other direction? And for me, it's no. Even with all the horrible things that have happened in my life, and even with how messed up I am in my head, I'm still not willing to give up what I have. Because that means giving up my kids, and I just would never do that. It just would never happen. So that was the story I wanted to share with you guys today. And FYI, just know that I'm very brave getting on camera because I have a freaking huge double chin. It's so freaking gross. Ugh. So anyways, yeah, that's what I wanted to share with you guys today. I hope you guys all have a great day. Hug the people that you love the most. And I will see you next time. Bye.